What's going on, people, and welcome to Man Knows Football. You are here with Guni for the match reaction after Chelsea have just lost at St James's Park 1-0 to Newcastle. A deserved loss based on our performance today. Newcastle definitely deserved to win. Newcastle controlled every single aspect of the game. They looked comfortable. Again, we barely test their goalkeeper, and this is what happens. People, we are in a very, very poor state. This squad of players is nowhere near good enough, and what you see unfolding in front of your very eyes is Chelsea Football Club being exposed. Yes, why are we being exposed? Because we have had this squad for so long and we've been playing above the standard of this squad for so long. Now that it's all come crashing down and reality's hit, it is looking ugly. Before I get into the content, please make sure you do these things for me. Smash that subscribe button. Leave your thoughts down there in the comments as well, and give the video a thumbs up so we are up in the algorithm. You get me? We're trying to grow the platform, and you lot have been doing fantastic in doing so. So let's keep it going up. Let's keep doing this. Let's get into the content for today. A couple of talking points. I want to start off with the left wing back position. Obviously, Lewis Hall has joined the first team. He got rewarded with a place today, and quite rightly so, was definitely the best performer earlier in the week in the Carabao Cup against Manchester City. Unfortunately, we lost there too, but Lewis Hall was definitely the best player in my eyes on the pitch. So I have to commend Graham Potter for rewarding him today for being brave. Newcastle, as we know, high-flying form. St James's Park, not an easy place to go. So to give him his Premier League debut there, fair play to him. And I thought he done all right today. Also, we saw Armando Broja get a start, which I thought, based on merit, he definitely deserves it. Every time he's come on the pitch, he's shown that he can cause trouble. He's done a lot more, in my opinion, than what Kai Havertz and others that have been trusted in that position to do. He's done way a lot more. He's done a lot more. So fair play to him for getting his opportunity today. Conor Gallagher stepped into the fold as well. Interesting formation. It was a 3-4-2-1 in attack, and it was like a 5-4-1 when we was off the ball. In my opinion, Graham Potter looked like he went there to not lose, to do some damage control. You could see that we were set up to absorb pressure and really try and make something count in the counter-attack. And I thought Armando Broja was really focal to how we were playing. I thought he stretched out the channels really well, vacating that space in that middle for other runners to come into. But when you don't have a competent operating midfield to be consistently creating transitions, you're going to have frustration. You're going to have a lot of gaps. You're going to have a lot of distrust amongst your team. And that today was shown with Kovacic and Jorginho in that midfield. To me, it was a poor performance. Poor performance. I get into Jorginho a lot, but for me, questions need to start to be asked about Kovacic, because he has not been anywhere near good enough. He's not been able to provide what we need. Today, we saw the amount of space in behind Jorginho and Kovacic. It's a song that I keep singing every single week. Our defence is continually under pressure because of that midfield in front of us. There's nobody to do the defensive duties. Jorginho today had an absolute stinker, in my opinion. Absolute stinker. I've been praising him the past 2 weeks from a defensive perspective, but today, you saw, got past him way too easy. He was a target point for most of these Newcastle players. Way too easy. Even Kovacic being drawn out and just leaving spaces in behind that midfield. It was nowhere near good enough. It weren't good enough. Newcastle, if I'm being honest, they controlled the game from start to finish. They looked comfortable. They didn't even come out of game one, if I'm being completely honest. They looked very comfortable today. Fair play to them. They deserve to get the result. If I was a neutral watching that, I'd be looking at and saying, well, based on the balance of how I watched this game, Newcastle definitely deserve 3 points. Chelsea, pathetic yet again. Zero transition when there's an opportunity to counter-attack. When the ball does get forward, it's either hit too long, the touch isn't too good, or the player's going down way too easy. Conor Gallagher, for me, I was upset with him, needs to learn how to stay on his feet. Although he was one of the brightest sparks towards the second half, fair play to him, there are still little things in his game, little nuances in his game that he definitely needs to get out of the way. You could see like the plan that Eddie Howe had, like his Longstaff just dropping alongside like Bruno Guimaraes, and just dragging that double pivot with like Jorginho and Kovacic forward, and Joe Linton dropping in, being that extra body to get in behind. That's exactly how they scored their goal. Very simple. Joe Linton coming inside that midfield, really like exploiting the space that's left in behind that double pivot. Willock just literally holding his position, Nobody's marking him. Nobody's kept an eye on him. First time shot, excellent finish, generated a lot of power from it. But it was too easy from a tactical standpoint. And should Graham Potter really be looking at himself? And I have to say 100%, where was Zakaria yet again today? 2 games we've seen him play and he hasn't had a terrible performance. He's had a decent performance. He's shown us what we've missed. We needed that presence today and he wasn't there. He wasn't there. Questions need to be asked. Now, I understand Loftus-Cheek, he was definitely considered an outlet for this system to work today, especially the counter-attacking system. You know how much of a good ball carrier that he is. So for him to come off after 3 or 5 minutes, I can't remember what it was, definitely had to change up the game plan. And that was a loss for us because it was more understandable from that perspective with him being on the pitch. But losing him must have definitely hurt the game plan. But I thought, you know what? It's a sign. Maybe Graham Potter should be brave. As Azpilicueta goes to that right-back position, I know how some of you feel about it. I'm very iffy about it too. But Zakaria can just sit in front of that defence, yeah, and add that extra protection. Come out wide to help him sometimes. Do you know what I mean? I felt that he could have done a decent job there. But unfortunately, that was not the case. He decided to bring on Thiago Silva, who was sitting on the bench. I'm not going to lie. I thought it was a bit of a strange substitution in terms of Thiago Silva, first of all, should have started the game. Some people I'm hearing are saying, well, they don't want to jeopardise his World Cup chances. This is what I've got to say about the World Cup. Fuck the World Cup. While you're playing for Chelsea, while you are employed for Chelsea Football Club, the club that pay your wages, yeah, you play when you are needed. Right now, we are in the absolute mud. We need everybody, every single person who can kick a ball at Chelsea to be present, to be available, and to be ready to play. Yeah, we've already got problems with players that don't have a choice but to sit out. But to actually give some of these players a choice sounds ridiculous to me. Forget all that. If that's what the management's doing, I'd be very disappointed. But I imagine that is a whole bunch of nonsense. I'm sure he had his reasons not to start Thiago Silva. But he came on anyway. Yeah, and we needed our captain on the pitch. Sorry, he's not even our captain. Azpilicueta is meant to be our captain. But you see, the way I look at this guy, it is what it is. No disrespect to Azpilicueta, but in terms of performance and leading by example, it's been him. Do you know what I mean? It was a very simple plan from Eddie Howe. Their game plan was just to press us up high because they knew we would struggle to play through the press. They know not to let us play out from the back because they were going to force mistakes. We've got players at the back that are not comfortable on the ball. Our goalkeeper being the central focal point of not being comfortable on the ball. He's the worst on the ball. He gives everybody high blood pressure when he's on the ball. But it is what it is. He's the only option that's available in the goal. It's not looking good. And the World Cup could not have come at a better time. I think this is actually damage control and it has worked in our favour massively because when we do come back, we'll be that much closer to January. Maybe we'll have a couple of faces available. Reece James not going to the World Cup is a good thing for us. N'Golo Kante, same thing. We desperately need players back and we desperately need to recruit in January because I am sick and tired of coming here L after L after L. 3 losses in a row in the Premier League. This is becoming concerning. 3 losses in a row. If we're not careful and results had gone other teams' way, we could be sitting 10th right now. Yeah, and I know some of you are saying, you haven't spoken about the manager, this, that, and the other. I can't. I cannot overly criticise the manager. I might criticise his tactics here and there, but even within that, he doesn't have his ideal 25-man squad or however many players he's got to choose from. He's got a very limited selection. There's nothing I can do about that. There was things in the summer that were not addressed that he had nothing to do with. I cannot hold him accountable for that. Yeah? This squad, you lot know I've told you this. I said the same under Tuchel. I don't see it doing as well as what people think. Why is the expectation going to change with this new manager? He's had no hand in this team whatsoever. He's had to deal with the shit that he's been left with. You see what I'm saying? So the judgment will come after the January transfer window and it will come after the summer. I want to see if things are getting addressed. But as for now, to those of you that didn't see this coming, it's a reality check. It's a wake-up call. We are indeed in a transition. Newcastle, fair play to them. They played excellent. Like I said, they controlled the game. Bruno Guimaraes showing us exactly what it is that we're missing. Had a decent game. Defensively, they were comfortable. They didn't really get tested. Fair play to Conor Gallagher. Actually, he was the only one that really gave Nick Pope a test. But outside of that, Nada, nothing. Midfield performance, again, it was terrible. Overrun, we're giving away fouls cheaply. Koulibaly diving into tackles. Although I didn't think he was a terrible player first half, I thought he'd done his job. I thought he cleared the lines a few times. He saved us quite a bit first half. So a bit better from Koulibaly, but still very rash with the challenges. Trevor as well. You know what? I think this whole team is just suffering at the minute. Like, the fact that the lack of ability that's needed is not there, on top of the confidence being shot, it's a recipe for disaster. Like, right now, I honestly don't know what to say, except, like, I'm happy that the World Cup's on the way. I'm not asking for my manager to be sacked. Absolutely not. The tactics today, did I entirely agree with them? Not really. I would have done something different. But there's a reason why I'm sitting in front of this camera and not in the dugout at Chelsea Football Club. Do you know what I mean? People, I'm really tired of this. Honestly, this is where social media and content creating doesn't become enjoyable, because the team that I love so much are humiliating me week in, week out. And I hate seeing this team lose. I just want to see us go forward. But what I will say, brace yourselves, people. Yeah, and be grateful that the pause to the season has come today for Chelsea, because it could be worse. In hindsight, it could be a lot worse than it currently is. Hopefully, we will address what needs to be addressed, and we'll get injuries, returning injuries back into the squad that should definitely lift our form 100%. But people, thank you very much for tuning in, man. Look, the last video, I got all my anger out. This time round, I'm not going to just force the rants and all that. I'm just tired of it. I'm exhausted. I'm tired of it. You lot know how I feel. I ranted already in the previous video, in the Carabao Cup video. I'm going to link that in the video if you want to see how I really feel right about now. But people, let me know your thoughts down there in the comments. Smash that like button as well. And yeah, subscribe if you're new, people. I'm just drained, disappointed, but always, always, always up the Chelsea. Respect, people.